Hola! This video is all about stem changing verbs in the preterite tense. So I have some examples of stem changing verbs right here. There are types of verbs that have parentheses after them on Vocabulist or in a dictionary, and it shows like E-IE, E to I, U to UE, or O to UE. So you should have mastered these boot verbs in the present tense already, and they're going to be a bit different in the past or preterite tense. So before in the present tense, whenever there was a stem changing verb, it always mattered to us. However, now, happy news, we only have to stem change IR verbs in the preterite tense. So of these verbs from earlier, most of these I don't even have to worry about. For instance, on this list, the only one I'd have to stem change in the past tense or preterite tense is pay dear, because it's an IR verb. So once again, we only stem change IR verbs. Second change for from present to preterite tense is that in the present we followed the directions in the parentheses, whereas now we're only changing the very first letter. So for instance, we would change E to I for both E to IE verbs and E to I verbs. Verbs that we usually typically called U to UE now are only going to be O to U, because we're only changing to the first letter in the parentheses. And then the final change was that before these verbs were called boot verbs because we did not stem change the nosotros box, but ever box. Now we're going to call these sandal verbs. And you'll see why in a moment, because we only stem change the bottom two boxes, which form the shape of a sandal. So you should have these changes written down. These are our rules for stem changing in the preterite tense. And here's an example of the boot versus the sandal. So present tense, remember boot, both letters in the present tense. So I stem change within the boot boxes, and I change to both letters. Whereas now in the preterite tense, I'm going to follow the sandal. The sandal is just the bottom two boxes, third person, el ella usted, ellos, ellas, ustedes, and I'm only changing to a single letter. So here was the O to U stem change in the preterite rather than O to UE in the present. And also just a friendly reminder, it's only IR verbs that stem change in the preterite tense. It's like here's an example of hugar. Hugar changes U to UE. In the present, I have my boot for the present tense, hugar. Preterite tense, hugar, I have no stem change. No U to UE anywhere. So if I were to look at this whole list of verbs, which ones stem change? Pensar, no stem change because it's because it's an AR verb. Dormir is yes, going to stem change. And is it's an IR verb. And then also a box is in the sandal. Next one, bull bear, no stem change, ER verb, no stem change here, ER verb. Here I have morir, it's an IR verb. However, I'm still going to say no because it's outside of my sandal. Next one, servir, that's an IR verb. It's within my sandal. Next, entender, ER verb, no. Finally, pedir is a no as well, even though it's IR, it's outside of sandal. One last point I wanted to include in this video is the Y spelling change in the preterite. So this happens when verbs end in any of these letters. Basically, whenever there's an ER or IR verb, and then there's a vowel before your ER or IR. So like if the last three letters end in vowel and it's an ER or IR verb, this is when it happens. So that would be verbs like layer, to read, creer, to believe, destruir, to destroy. And that's pretty much all we've learned so far in Spanish 1. So there's going to be a Y in the sandal, like you can see in this picture. And that happens because we don't want to have 3 vowels in a row, because otherwise it would go E, I, O, and then E, I, E. That's too many vowels in a row for Spanish, so they changed the middle vowel I to a Y. So that is everything. We've learned how to conjugate stem changing verbs with a preterite, and now a Y spelling change.